Hello coders, this is Jared with Renaissance Coders, and in this video I'm going to walk you through the process of creating a Bitbucket account, creating a repository on Bitbucket, downloading and installing the Bitbucket desktop application, cloning your first Bitbucket repo to your computer, creating your first Bitbucket commit, and creating your first push to a Bitbucket repo. Okay, so let's get started. The first thing you need to do is go to bitbucket.org/product. If you just Google Bitbucket, it should be the first link there. You should come to this page. And we're going to go ahead and click on this Get Started for Free button. And make sure you enter your email address. Click on the Continue button. And now we need to give your full name and create a password. Make sure you click on the CAPTCHA there. Alright, now I'm going to click on the Continue button. Now it's telling me to verify my email, so I'm going to go check my email really quickly and be right back. Okay, this is the screen that you will see after verifying your email. This is just asking you to choose a username for your Bitbucket account, so I'm just going to do Jared Wren Code and click on Continue. And now this takes us to the dashboard. So the one of the cons I had for Bitbucket is that the interface is a little clunky, and when you come in here, you can see that there's quite a bit going on. Not necessarily a lot more than GitHub, but I think GitHub's flow is just a little bit better. Here you can, obviously, in the left sidebar, you can look at the overview, repositories, projects, and everything like that. So if you just click on repositories, this is going to show that you don't have any, obviously, so you can create one. And that's actually what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and create a repository and just give it a name like Bitbucket Tutorial. I'm going to create this as a private repository, and I'm going to choose the Git repository type. If we just look under Advanced Settings, we can also give it a description. We can allow for private forks. We can do some project management. A wiki is always pretty nice for pretty large projects for a pretty big team. You can choose a language, and for integrations, you could enable HipChat notifications. I'm not going to do any of that because this is just a really quick sort of empty repository, so I'm going to just click Create Repository. Once that's done, we come to this overview page for this repository. And it says put some bits in your bucket, so that's sort of saying, you know, hey, give me a file. You could also create a README or a .gitignore. Again, these two files are going to be covered in a later tutorial, you know, so that way we can go into those two files with greater depth. So the next thing I'm actually going to do is download and install the Bitbucket desktop application. So the Bitbucket desktop application, or I'll just call it the Bitbucket app, is actually called SourceTree. And to download that, we have to go to sourcetreeapp.com, or if you just Google SourceTree, then it should be the first link you see there. So this is the homepage for the SourceTree app. Again, this might be a little bit different than what you'll see if you're on Windows. It'll probably say download for Windows here, but I'm just going to click on download, and it shouldn't take too long to download, but I'm going to go ahead and pause the video and start up again once the app is actually running. Okay guys, so now I have the SourceTree application running on my computer. As you can see, there's not a lot going on here. If you're on Windows, you're probably going to see the application laid out a little bit differently, but if we get enough requests, we can create a tutorial for Windows as well. Now the first thing I'm actually going to do is set up my account. So if I go to SourceTree Preferences and Accounts, I'm going to click on Add, OAuth, Connect Account. Alright, now this is asking us to log in with our Bitbucket account that we created earlier, so I'm just going to enter in my details here. And there we go, now let's log in. Okay, now this is just asking us to again confirm access to our account. So I'm going to, of course, click grant access, and we're going to save that. And now we have access to our Bitbucket account. All right, now I can just close this out. Okay, guys, now as you can see, it doesn't look like I have any repositories pulled yet. So what I need to actually do is click on this remote tab, because technically this repository is still on Bitbucket but is not local. So when I click on this remote tab here, it shows us the repository that we created earlier. So what I can do now is actually clone this. If I just click this clone button, then it's going to input the source URL dynamically. It's going to choose our destination path based on the one we set up in our preferences. If you haven't done that, then you can just click on this dot icon and then set it yourself, and it's going to give us a name. Again, we have advanced options under here, but oh, it's asking. That's interesting. Looks like that might be a little messed up. Actually, it's telling me that's not a valid source path. Okay, so let's try to figure out this issue here. Let's go back into the preferences and let's edit this guy. Let's go to HTTPS instead of SSH here. And now let's save this. So SSH requires a key, and you have to do a few extra steps to get that set up. But now let's try to clone again. So again, we're on the remote, and we're going to click clone here. Okay. Let's just always allow this. And now it's telling us that this is in fact, I just always allowed you, that this is in fact a Git repository. So we're going to go ahead and click on clone here, and it's just going to sort of run through that pretty quickly. And now we have another window that has popped up, and this is what I don't like about the source tree application. You can get several windows popping up really quickly. I'd rather have them all contained sort of within one window, because this can get a little annoying, or maybe have this guy slide out or something, but this is kind of annoying. Okay, so now that we're in here, the first thing we need to do, like the GitHub desktop tutorial, is actually create a file. So let's go ahead and open up our Sublime text. And as you can see, I've still got my file here, so I'm going to go ahead and just create a new one and say this is a test of the source tree desktop application. Alright, now I'm going to save that. And again, make sure we save that to the correct place. I think I might actually have two. Where are you? There we go. Save that there. And now if I just quit this. Alright, took a couple of seconds there to refresh, but now we can see that we do in fact have this text file being pulled in. It's showing us the changes that have been made. So what we need to do is actually create a new commit for this, and to do that you can just click on this commit button up here. Now you have to input a message for that commit. So I'm just going to say added in test file. Oops, I forgot something. The first thing you have to do before making a commit is add files. Okay, so if you don't click this check icon up here, it won't automatically add the files. So you have to do that a little more manually. Again, another thing with the source tree app that I'm not a huge fan of. But all right, so we're just going to say added in test file here. And now we can choose to push changes immediately. So as soon as you commit, it automatically gets pushed, or you can just create several commits and then push at the end of the day or something like that. I personally like to do the second option, because I may work on something all day and have 3 or 4 commits, and then I can push them all up at the end of the day. So I'm just going to create the commit like this. All right, we've got a confirm add. I'm going to actually say don't show this again, because I know what it's going to do. So I just click OK here. Now it says we've got nothing to commit. But if I go over to my push tab here, it allows us to now push to master. Again, I can cancel that though and just look at our history. Okay, so we can see now that this is what is going to be pushed to the master branch. So once I push this, if anyone were to pull this repository, then they would get this file with the text I've put in it. So I'm going to actually just go ahead and do a push. And push to master and origin, that's good. Now we're just going to click OK. And now that's pushing up to master, so that has gone through. Cool. Now let's go back to Bitbucket up here and just refresh the page. Now it's saying that our last updated was about 10 seconds ago, so that was our push that came up. And if you look over to the right, you can see when the repository was created and when the commit occurred. So if I click on this now and click on commits, you can see the commit that occurred. We've also got like a little tracking number, when it occurred, the message that we created. So while Bitbucket is not as intuitive as GitHub, it's still pretty easy to get around and navigate once you get used to it. The source tree app is, in my opinion, not as good as the GitHub app, but you know, you do get private repositories for free on Bitbucket, so you know, sacrifice something to gain something, right? Okay, so that's going to do it for this tutorial. As always, thanks for watching. Drop us a like and subscribe.